Death is the one reality none of us can escape, yet it remains the greatest mystery. Is it the final chapter, or the doorway to something greater? From faith and science to personal stories and modern psychology, this video explores the answers shaping American minds today. If you've ever wondered what really lies beyond, this conversation is for you. Welcome to Axis of Curiosity, the place where life's biggest questions meet open minds. In today's video, we explore a question that touches every human being. Is death the end, or just the beginning? Together, we'll look at faith, science, psychology, and personal stories that challenge how we see life and what may lie beyond it. If you find this conversation meaningful, don't forget to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep uncovering life's deepest truth. In American society, death is often treated as a subject to be avoided, hidden behind hospital curtains and softened with euphemisms like passing away. Psychologists note that this avoidance is not only cultural but deeply psychological. Ernest Becker, in The Denial of Death, argued that much of human behavior is an attempt to manage the terror of mortality. Fear of death is intensified in a culture where youth, productivity, and achievement are glorified, while aging and decline are marginalized. Religion has historically provided comfort by promising heaven or eternal life. Yet for many modern Americans, especially those moving away from traditional faith, those promises feel uncertain or symbolic rather than literal. This creates a tension between inherited beliefs and present-day doubts. The scientific worldview, which emphasizes finality, can offer clarity but also leaves people struggling with existential emptiness. In a society that values control and progress, the reality of death represents an absolute limit, and it is this confrontation with the uncontrollable that fuels both fear and fascination. From an early age, Americans are exposed to conflicting images of death that shape how they process mortality. Popular media often portrays dying in extremes, either as a violent spectacle in movies and news cycles, or as a sentimental, sanitized moment in television dramas. Religion continues to play a major role, especially Christianity, which frames death as a gateway to eternal judgment, shaping collective fears of hell and hopes for heaven. Yet, as religious affiliation declines, many people seek meaning elsewhere, turning to science for answers or to spirituality for comfort. Medicine and technology, meanwhile, reinforce the idea that death is something to be delayed, fought, or even cured, fueling the cultural obsession with anti-aging and life extension. This creates a paradox. While death is inevitable, American culture trains people to see it as a failure rather than a natural conclusion. The result is a society caught between reverence, denial, and scientific ambition, each shaping the way individuals imagine what it means to die. For much of American history, the Christian narrative has provided the dominant framework for understanding death. The promise of heaven has offered comfort to grieving families, assuring them of reunion with loved ones, while the threat of hell has been used as a moral compass to guide behavior in life. Churches have long emphasized that death is not an end but a transition, with eternal life depending on faith and adherence to God's will. This belief shaped not only private mourning rituals but also public culture, from the language inscribed on gravestones to the sermons delivered at funerals. Yet in today's pluralistic society, these promises are being re-examined. For some, the idea of heaven remains a source of profound hope. For others, it feels like a metaphor rather than a literal reality. The fear of hell, once a central motivator, is increasingly rejected in favor of a more compassionate vision of God. Still, the promise of eternity continues to anchor American attitudes toward death. Even as interpretations evolve, from a secular perspective, death is often seen not as a passage but as a definitive end. Atheists and agnostics argue that consciousness is a product of the brain, and when the body ceases, so does the self. This view is supported by neuroscience, which has found no evidence of the soul existing independently of physical processes. While this may sound bleak, many secular thinkers frame it as liberating. If life is finite, then its value lies in the present moment, in relationships, creativity, and experiences that cannot be repeated. Some psychologists suggest that accepting finality can reduce anxiety, shifting focus from fear of the unknown to gratitude for what is. Yet this perspective also challenges cultural narratives of immortality, leaving individuals to construct meaning without promises of eternity. In American society, where religious and secular voices coexist, this lens is both unsettling and grounding. Unsettling because it denies continuity. grounding because it insists that this life, fleeting as it is, may be enough. Accounts of near-death experiences have added a layer of mystery to America's conversation about mortality. People who report leaving their bodies, seeing light, or encountering deceased loved ones often describe these moments as profoundly real, reshaping how they live afterward. While skeptics point to neurological explanations, such as the brain's response to trauma or lack of oxygen, many who have gone through such events insist they are glimpses of another reality. These stories circulate widely in books, documentaries, and online forums, fueling modern forms of mysticism that blend spirituality with personal testimony. In a society where trust in traditional religion is declining, such experiences offer an alternative path to believing in life beyond death, rooted not in doctrine but in lived encounters. This has given rise to a more individualized spirituality, where people borrow from multiple traditions, Eastern philosophies, meditation practices, or energy healing, seeking meaning outside institutional faith. For many Americans, these accounts keep alive the possibility that death may be less than a threshold into the unknown. Psychologists suggest that belief in an afterlife is less about proving what happens after death and more about meeting deep human needs. Terror management theory, for example, argues that when people confront their own mortality, they seek systems of meaning that reduce anxiety and provide a sense of control. In American culture, this often translates into religious promises of heaven, but also into secular forms of symbolic immortality, such as leaving a legacy, raising children, or contributing to causes that outlast one's lifetime. Hope in something beyond death, whether literal or metaphorical, helps individuals cope with grief and make sense of suffering. Even those who doubt traditional doctrines may still imagine some form of spiritual continuity, because the idea of complete annihilation feels unbearable. Psychologists note that these beliefs are not merely comforting illusions, but powerful motivators that shape moral choices, resilience, and the willingness to endure hardship. In this sense, afterlife beliefs serve as a psychological anchor, allowing people to face death without being paralyzed by fear. Whether we see death as an end or as a beginning, the question itself pushes us to reflect more deeply on what it means to live. For some, accepting finality sharpens the value of each fleeting moment. For others, the hope of eternity transforms suffering into preparation for something greater. American culture holds both perspectives, intention science reminding us of limits, spirituality opening doors to mystery, and personal stories bridging the gap between fear and hope. Perhaps the truth is less about choosing one side and more about learning from both, finding meaning in life while remaining open to the unknown beyond it. Thank you for watching this journey of thought and reflection. If this video gave you something to think about, don't forget to like it, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more conversations that challenge and inspire. Your support helps us keep exploring life's deepest questions together.